Just been training really, to be honest. Brought the training loads down a little bit, but you manage to get some detail into your training. There's a wee bit more time there, so give the boys a wee bit of time off, but you're conscious that you don't want to give them too much. We try and stay away the peaks and troughs, the training loads, Brian, so we're trying to keep the training loads as a happy medium as possible. So they had a wee bit of time off, but we've been working hard also. No, really, it's like, I think when you start setting goals, if you don't achieve the goals, you then got to deal with the negativity of not achieving the goal. So we kind of always just, again, I spoke about it on numerous occasions, take one game at a time and see where it takes us. So we're looking at St Mirren, we're looking at 3 points, and then we'll focus on the next game after that. He's probably correct in his opinions on too much hasn't changed in terms of it's the same. There's not a great deal of difference in the squad, but what you've done there is you've now got an extra 14 months coaching into these players. There's an extra 14 months into the process of what we do on a daily basis at the club. So I'll go back to again, I speak a lot about continuity. That's the only real difference from last season, is the continuity. Yeah, we brought 4 or 5 players in, but they 4 or 5 players haven't always been playing. Or some haven't been part of the match day squad, so they're still bedding themselves in. So continuity is a big thing for me, Brian. The continuity is now there in the team and the coaching staff as well. You're hoping for improvement. I think it doesn't just mean because you've got continuity you're going to get improvement, but I think it definitely helps you on the park on a Saturday. We had a bit of turmoil last year in terms of the amount of players we lost and staff. We've now kept that, again, continuity in the building. So is continuity going to win us games of football? No. It certainly isn't, but is it going to make it a wee bit easier to do so? I think it does. I think you've got to say it was a surprise, but when I watched the first 10-15 minutes of the game, it probably became less of a surprise. I thought St Mirren set up very well, Ange had made a few changes, and you could tell it was going to be a difficult game, but I think that's testament to Scottish football. I think it just shows you the level you need to get to every single week to pick up points in the Premier League, and Celtic, Rangers, all the bigger clubs away from home. It's the same. When you're at home and teams come here, we've got a fantastic chance of picking up 3 points no matter who it is. A little bit different when you go to the bigger venues, if I'm honest. But no, when I watched the game, fair play to Stephen, fair play to St Mirren. They've got a style, they've got an identity. And I would probably say it's very, very similar to when Stephen had success at Motherwell, when he was getting to the Scottish Cup finals, League Cup finals. Very, very similar identity, different players. Well, some different players, because there's still a lot. Again, you look at Stephen, he's probably brought a lot of continuity in the building in terms of players he knows from his time at Morecambe, from his time at Motherwell. So I think he's done a fantastic job. They look like a club that's on the up, so it's going to be a difficult game for us. Probably mine. I'm fairly fortunate in the club, whereas I'm involved in that process. Probably a lot different for other managers in the Premier League, whereas John and Robert involved me quite a bit, if I'm honest. I think the telly deals, I don't think it's what everybody wants. Everybody's always going to want more money, aren't they? Everybody wants more money. Do I think it's a good deal? I think it's an okay deal. I think it could become a very good deal if they take their extra quota of games. I think Sky have been very good for Scottish football. I think we're fortunate to have them on board. And if you look at the current climate, I think everybody knows the rate of inflation, the cost of living. I think the next 12 months is going to get really hard for your average member of the public trying to survive and get by with energy costs, mortgage costs, that type of thing. So I think it's good to get a wee bit of security into Scottish football. I think, I'll be brutally honest with you, we didn't agree with the resolution change. I think when you're making such a big decision as a collective group in terms of you're signing up to a deal to 2029, I think it's imperative that all clubs are singing for the same hymn sheet. You're all in this together. I'm not going to talk about individual clubs, I can only talk about Livingston, and we were probably not really voting for the change in resolution because we believed that if you don't get the vote to go your way, you just don't change a resolution to suit that. So I think that's where we were coming from with it. Most clubs, 90% of clubs wanted the Sky deal, and we were happy to back that because I think you've got to do what's best for the collective, not always use an individual. I think if everyone is were to sit and speak about your club as an individual, we probably wouldn't go very far. So For us, it's about working with the collective, but did we agree with the resolution to get the Sky deal through? That was probably the part we never agreed with. No, because is it going to change your decision-making process? No, it isn't. Because you've got to do what's right for the collective. First and foremost, you've got to look after your own club, but it's got to be right for the collective as well. You can't just say, well, this is what Livingston want to do if that hampers anyone else. You've got to do what's right for the collective. So the Sky deal is going to help Livingston because it gives us a structured budget to work to 2029. You've also got these 5 pay-per-view home games that we can potentially make extra income from. You've then got the extra quota of games that hopefully Sky take on board, because that's going to generate more income to Scottish football. It's okay everybody sitting in their houses, or me sitting in Livingston saying we want more money, we want more. Where does that money come from? Where does that money come from? So that's where I think it was imperative that we did get some sort of resolution with the Sky deal. But again, I'll go back to it, did we think as a club that it was correct that you needed 12 votes to get the Sky deal through, and that never quite happened. We changed the resolution to 11. That was the part that we weren't agreeing with. I think at times the SPFL are in a no-win situation. I really do. We all sit here and we can criticise at times, but I think it's very, very hard when you're not part of that process to understand what's going on in the corridors of power and dealing with these big broadcasters. So I think they've got to do what they feel's right for the group. But I just think the way it went about, I think it would have been better 12 is all, or 4, whatever, how many people, chief executives, chairmen, sitting in a room and coming to a decision together without having to change resolutions, if I'm honest, for me. But maybe that's me being a wee bit naive. No, because we get the opportunity to vote someone on these boards, don't we? And we never take those opportunities, so probably not. But we're always on the end of a phone, we're always up for having a coffee. And yeah, we're no naive, Brian. There's a lot of canvassing goes on, there's a lot of politics gets played, and we speak to every other club as well. So you actually, without being part of that board, you probably take part in the process slightly. But what I find is you don't get involved in these processes because you're too busy running your own club. You're too busy firefighting every day at your own club to worry about other problems, and then suddenly a problem maybe arises and then it magnifies, and that's when you do get involved. Do I think we could work a wee bit closer? I do. I think the Premier League clubs, and maybe the full Scottish football to be fair, could we work a wee bit closer? Yeah, I do. But I also understand why that's difficult, because see, at the end of the day, we're all business competitors, but you're trying to push forward to do what's right for the collective. So that's a really that's like, I don't know, use a term, Vodafone and O2 getting together and having meetings, and then, but they're business rivals. So on the playing field, we're competitive rivals and we're all trying to get one up in the other one. But off the field, how do you get that balance right and doing what's right for the collective? But I think it's something we have to get better at. I'm trying to think, no, there's a couple of wee knocks the previous game, but nothing special. It's probably left out for more of a risk with the international break coming up. Picked up a couple of niggles and knocks, but nothing to write home about, to be honest. So, everybody available. Parts is going to be March next year at best. I think your aspirations are top 6 every year. It would be incredible to hit a European spot, but again, we've got to go and look at it. We've got to put it into perspective. What are the goals at the start of the season? 10th and above. But collectively, between, have we got ambitions and aspirations? Of course we have. Would we like to get top 6? Of course we would. If you get top 6, you've got a chance of European football. You have. So again, top 6 would be fantastic, but staying in the Premier League for another year is the objective at the start of the year. Nah, honestly, like, I go through spells, I'll have a wee look at the league and I go through spells. I don't even look at the league for 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. I don't need to look at the league because everybody else is telling you, including you guys as well. But I don't really pay too much attention to the league position at this point in time, to be fair. And again, go back to it. It's boring. I know you guys find it boring. I find it boring talking about it. But it's the truth. It's the truth. I take one game at a time. Win, lose or draw at Motherwell, we'll come in Monday morning, put it to bed and then focus on the next game.